Hi, everyone. My name is Janet, and I am the Business Innovation Coordinator at the Prince Rupert and District Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, Get in the Loop, for partnering with us and sharing with us a lovely webinar today about digital marketing. First of all, I also do want to recognize that we are on this meeting is taking place on the traditional territory of the 9 allied tribes of the Lackawanna and Metlakatla. And this is also, while working with the Chamber, I'm also in partnership with EcoTrust Canada, and we are helping our local economy in the different initiatives that we are putting forth, and helping our local economy through the Chamber is one of them. So I also do want to walk through, or we're walking through today. So we have our lovely local ambassadors from the Get in the Loop app to share about this lovely resource in our community, Allison Curtis, and then we're going to have our webinar today and then a Q&A session. And finally, we're going to wrap up with just some news from the Chamber. But that is it from me in the intro, and I want to quickly introduce Allison and Curtis.
Hi guys.
I don't think we're
Oh yeah, we're good. Hi. So I'm Allison. This is Curtis. We're from Get in the Loop North Coast, and we live in Prince Rupert. North Coast is also going to cover Terrace and Kitimat, but for now we're starting in Prince Rupert. Basically, we are just here to help local consumers connect with local businesses through our mobile app, and we use our free app and promotion through social media, push notifications, and local events. And because we are locals as well, we are here to help in any way.
Yeah, for sure. Can we? Are we allowed? Or sorry, able to share the screen at all, or no?
Not quite yet. Maybe we'll share it at the end.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
We can wrap up as well.
Yeah, so basically we just want to help our local businesses be visible in our community, help out in any way that we can, share social distancing measures, and basically just anything that our businesses have to offer that would be interesting and exciting for people in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a unique solution for businesses here in Prince Rupert to kind of bring the digital era, which I know Jason and Chris are going to talk about extensively here, but to bring that digital feel to the local economy, and they can connect local consumers with the local businesses and experiences and offers that so many Rupertites have here in Prince Rupert.
Mm-hmm. And another thing about the app that's great is that it's also visible to other people who are visiting from, I know that we're going to have a lot of visitors from BC right now because of everything going on. So people who have the app that have maybe downloaded in Kelowna can come visit, and they can see on their app, because it'll move with them when they travel here. They can see what there is to offer. So that's an exciting part of the app as well. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
we've got lots of good content on there. I think we're up to 22.
Yep, we have 22 businesses. And I think we were around 260 downloads of the app in Prince Rupert alone the last time we checked. And I believe that we're at 300,000 plus downloads of the app across Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, we have a lot of people who are using it, and we've had a lot of feedback from the businesses that we do have on, just saying that they're really loving it. People have been coming in mentioning it, just kind of trying to find out what it is, and they've seen us through Facebook, Instagram, social media promotion, which we've been doing a lot of, just connecting through local businesses that way who maybe haven't heard of us. And yeah, that's basically it so far. And yeah, we're local. We lived here for almost 2 years, so we're excited to help people figure out what there is to offer here, locals and otherwise, just to showcase what Prince Rupert has, because we do have a lot of amazing businesses. So it's just great to get people connected.
Excellent, thanks guys. And we'll dive into our content here. We're going to be launched in Prince Rupert, and I'll toss it over to Jay, and we'll get the webinar going, and then we can circle back and answer any questions that anyone may have.
Yeah, sounds great. Having been there a few times, it looks like you're getting some sunshine, which is not always the case. Looks fantastic. And there's nothing better. There's a restaurant in that's just over looks the ocean in a hotel that was pretty fine that I stayed in. I think it was probably a couple years
The
ago.
Crest Hotel, maybe?
Yes,
Or?
that was the
Yeah.
one. Amazing. Yeah. Well, anyways, it's great to have you there, and it's great to have Get in the Loop in having been there a number of times in a previous career. So today we are talking about not traditional media, though. We're talking about the intersection of technology and small business and the inflection point that seems to be happening right now with the coronavirus. Chris has really put together a powerful presentation today that I think will help everybody understand what's going on around. If you've been sitting there going, geez, maybe we should have some more technology involved in the business. Maybe we're not doing enough in this area. You're not alone, and you're gonna, I think, come away with this with some good valuable information that you can act on. Chris's background. So Chris is the president of Get in the Loop. You're going to notice that there's not actually a lot of talk about Get in the Loop in this presentation. It really is a higher level kind of conversation. Get in the Loop is a part of it, obviously, but I think it's quite a bit beyond that. And Chris's background in the past has been as a consultant that's worked with large corporations, but also SMBs for many, many years, and predominantly in the area where technology is meeting these businesses. So nobody better to walk us through this here, I think, today. So if I will, I'll pass it over to Chris, and you can tell us more about the need for local businesses to up their technology game.
Awesome, thanks, Jay, and thank you to the Prince Rupert and Area Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled to share our webinar with you today and walk through the digital transformation that's occurring all around us and share some of the data points of that, and also how businesses are adapting today and how a business in Prince Rupert can adapt today using technology as well. But to dive in, we'll just talk about the mobile usage trends that you just can't ignore today. What we want to talk about is how people are using technology today, how businesses are adapting to that technology, and then how we can kind of move forward and understand how to help and support a business with these kind of digital trends. But it all starts with how people are consuming information today. Information today is being consumed differently than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and definitely 20 years ago. And it's all related to the traditional way that people used to consume content through newspapers, radio, and television. And a lot of those were local newspaper, local radio, and local television. But today, the way consumers consume content is through streaming services. There's a lot, especially now, people using Netflix and Disney Plus and Apple TV, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and their favorite kind of online website to read news. In all of those instances, a lot of those are commercial-free streaming. You don't get access to local advertising. And what that means is it's very hard for a local business today to actually get their voice heard in a marketplace where consumers are not consuming information like they used to. And so in that kind of dynamic of how people are consuming information, it's not just that younger demographic that's consuming information this way. All age group demographics are using a smartphone device today and accessing content in the same way through these different digital devices. Even the 65 plus age demographic, over half of them have a smartphone today. And as soon as you go under the age of 65, it's 85 to 99% of consumers are using a smartphone device to access content. And so they always have it with them, and they're consuming content in a much different way. And then how does that look from a data standpoint? In 2018 was that point in time when the digital divide happened, when traditional media was superseded with digital media. And that means those consumers that were consuming that commercial-free content through streaming services and through social media networks has dynamically changed the marketplace forever. And what we saw during the last 10 or 11 weeks is this gap even got wider and wider during this time as consumers got even more comfortable with using digital devices and digital content to consume information today, and disintermediating that traditional local message that a business would traditionally be trying to communicate to a local consumer. And so when we look at the impact of that, I would just want to share a data point that came out last week in terms of the media landscape today. And so in the last 12 years, there's been about 215 local media outlets that have disappeared out of local markets. In the last 8 weeks, 50 more of them have disappeared out of the local market. So the dynamic shift is occurring that not only are consumers' behaviors changing, but the local impact has dynamically changed as well. So there's a need for modernized solutions and modernized ways to communicate with an on-the-go consumer that always has a smartphone in their hand that consumes content in a completely different way. And so that is where we kind of look through a lens of the local marketplace to understand where those consumers are and how a business can intersect them today. And in 2016 was the first time that mobile consumption of digital media superseded desktop consumption. And as we get into kind of mid-2020, it's about 4 hours a day that the average individual spends on their smartphone device consuming content. And so when consumers are in one spot, you kind of need to follow those consumers from an advertising standpoint. And whenever you follow the ad dollars in a marketplace, that's normally where consumers are. And so that's the kind of lens that we're looking on today in how are individuals consuming media, how are advertisers intersecting that consumption of media, and how can a business in a local market compete with large companies that are adapting to technology faster than they are. So let's kind of take a deeper dive at that. One of the things about following the advertising dollar is really about the shift from traditional to digital, which we've already talked about. But once you get into the digital space, there's another shift that's occurring as well, is shifting from a desktop device or a laptop or a desktop to a mobile device. And what we're finding now in the last kind of year and a half is mobile ad spend is increasing significantly because it's the device of choice. It's the device where consumers are consuming content. There are kind of two big challenges with that though. The two big challenges are with all the advertisers shifting to mobile advertising, it's becoming more competitive, which means the price increases and it's becoming unsustainable for the average small business to compete with large brands that are trying to appeal to consumers on a smartphone device. The one big difference between a smartphone device that's this size and a desktop device is the screen size. It's 1/5 of the size of a desktop device, which means there's 1/5 the space to advertise to somebody. And so that's creating a lot of competitiveness, and it's creating a challenge for businesses to compete today in accessing the consumer's attention. And so let's look at how small businesses and technology are adapting and what that looks like today. But let's first look at the Canadian marketplace. So some data points that may not be as fresh in everyone's mind is that the Canadian marketplace is made up of small and medium-sized businesses. 99% of businesses are 500 employees or less in Canada, and 54% of those businesses are 5 employees or less. Most of the small business jobs in the marketplace are dominated by small businesses. So 87% of all new jobs created were by SMBs in Canada. So it is the bedrock of the economy in Canada in particular. But when we look at the broader context of small businesses in Canada, there's a lot of them. There's over 1.2 million SMBs in the Canadian marketplace. There's almost 600 million globally. But the big difference in the SMB space that's going to change over the next couple of years to the next 7 years is 3 big things. There's 3 big drivers of change. One is the changing demographics. By 2025, 3/4 of all small businesses will either be run or owned by a millennial. What that means is a millennial is somebody who's grown up using technology from day one. We call them digital natives. That means they think digitally first. They're very savvy with technology, and they will advertise their business and manage their business using technology at a rate that is significantly faster than their predecessor. It's an interesting stat that 1,000 people every single day turn 65 in Canada. So that is one of the big dynamic shifts in who is managing and operating a business today and in the future. But the 2 other key drivers are technology adoption by consumers, which we already talked about, the shift in how they're consuming information and what device they're consuming it on. And then the third key driver is traditional media's effectiveness. We saw that kind of divide in 2018. We're going to see that continue to grow over time, and there's going to be a void left in the marketplace, a void which needs to be filled so that small businesses can communicate their products and services to local consumers that are constantly on the go. And the other kind of key drivers of the small business marketplace is it's an evergreen marketplace. In Canada, there's 10,000 new small businesses started every single month. As you dissect that down into a community by community level, that is, 3 to 5 new businesses in a Prince Rupert type region that get created that constantly are feeding the ecosystem of small businesses in this country. And a couple other key players is there's no large monopolies. There's no single company that provides all the solutions to every single small business in the country. There's a requirement for lots of different players to help small businesses adapt and change. But the other key piece of this is small businesses need products that can be painkillers, that help them improve their business, because they can't live without them. You can't live without a painkiller. And so understanding what the pains of a small business are and how to provide them solutions to adapt to all of these changing dynamics that we're seeing is truly what's needed in the marketplace today. And when we look at just pure adoption of technology by small businesses, there's a few stats that stand out. I'll read a couple of them. One is just 60% of small businesses have a website today. That may seem astonishing in 2020, but it's taking the communication mechanism to the next level and being able to communicate digitally. That same percentage of small businesses invest in social media. One of the most alarming stats for myself anyway is that less than 30% of small businesses use website analytics, call tracking, or coupon codes to manage their business today. If you don't understand what's happening in the efforts that you're deploying, it's very hard to improve those efforts. And around all of these data points is really the market maturity of a small business. The average small business is lacking in tools and techniques to engage that consumer that's always online, that's always on their mobile device, and that is consuming content in a different way. And so all of these digital tactics that a business can use today are just ways and mechanisms to get closer to that point in the future where they're able to engage a modern consumer who is on the couch today and not walking by their front door location. And that's the challenge with COVID and the pandemic, is it's exacerbated the need for businesses to adapt to technology faster versus that technology curve that probably would have been about 2 years from now. It's truncated into about 10 weeks of the need to change and use tools to navigate today. And there's a few top challenges from a study in 2019 that were identified of, why small businesses aren't using technology like they should. Here's just a couple you can read yourself, but 41% say it's too difficult to integrate technology with their current systems. 29% say they have no time to focus on this. 28% say it seems too expensive to fund technology. 37% say it's hard to figure out the best solution for them. 22% say we're unsure how to execute to achieve our goals. And 34% say we don't have the skills to support technology. This all bundled up is really around the crux of they don't know what they don't know. Technology can seem daunting, but technology is just a better way to engage and a more efficient way to engage with a consumer that's not consuming the same sort of content that they were 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years ago. And so these are the big hurdles that business owners need to get over. And I wanted to talk about some of the ways that they're doing that today. But let's focus on what's happened in the last, I guess it's been 11 weeks, and the consumer behavior that's changed in the last 11 weeks and how businesses have adapted in the last 11 weeks. And so when we look at digital media usage in Canada, we see it to continually climb. As we get into kind of the mid-July, we've seen a 30% increase kind of week over week with digital consumption of media in Canada. That has been the go-to source for information, digital information. When we look at mobile usage versus desktop usage in Canada, one surprising element that we didn't think would change as quickly, when we look at people being at home more versus being out and about, you would think they would consume content on a laptop device or a desktop device more, but mobile has become a habit. It's not just a device. And when you have a smartphone device that you're used to using all the time, it's beside you when you're watching television, it's beside you when you're potentially eating dinner. It's so close to you that that is the device that you go to de facto. And so even if you're at home consuming content in a different way, you're still consuming it on a mobile device versus a desktop device. A couple other stats that we looked at when in early March, mid-March, when the environment started to change in markets around the country and globally for that matter, we looked at what the consumer intention was in those marketplaces, and a high percentage of people, obviously in every single category, wanted to avoid large groups. Obviously, restaurants was part of that, shopping and shopping centers was, shopping just in general. Everything went on a pause. And as markets started to kind of evolve and we're starting to get into phase 3 of opening, we're seeing some lasting effects of some of this initial behavior that we started to see. When we looked at where money was spent in a marketplace, obviously we saw way less spending in traditional ways. There was way less spending in every category across the map except for home improvement and online shopping. But we saw everything from fast food to apparel to obviously charitable giving, fitness, all of those had declines. The things that had increases during the last 11 weeks, general merchandise and e-commerce, obviously alcohol, video streaming, food delivery, home improvement, online grocery delivery. This is kind of the natural dynamic that occurred in the marketplace. But the reason I'm showing this is it's also creating different behaviors and different habits that have been formed during this time. Obviously, we saw huge impacts in brick and mortar with less spending across every single category. That was pretty self-evident. Every single food category had less spending. There was more delivery services, but the net effect of that was people started to cook more at home than order out during the last kind of 11 weeks. But there was a bit of a bright spot in all of this. We did see that consumption of hyper-local media increased significantly. And what that meant was local matters more than ever. And consumers wanted to understand not just what happened globally or nationally, they wanted to understand what was impacting their community. And there's been a renewed interest in supporting local and supporting their neighborhood and shopping your neighborhood. We've seen that across market by market by market across the country. And it's a bright spot in, I think, all of this. It's about making sure that your neighborhood and your community and your neighbor is supported during this time. But one of the most important stats that we also saw in terms of how people's behavior has changed, RBC Capital Markets has been running a longitudinal study. Over the last 5 years, they've asked the same group of people the same set of questions. And I just pulled out one of those questions. It was, have you purchased online groceries? March of 2020 was the first time that more people in the study said yes than no. And why is that significant? It's significant because it's creating a tipping point in the change of behavior of the average consumer that was, quite honestly, late or a laggard in using technology to do something as simple as ordering online groceries. And so the net effect of this is now that you've kind of broken through that threshold, these consumers are more apt to order online and use online sources to look for information than they ever have before. When you do online grocery for the first time, it means you've used a credit card online, potentially for the first time. You've trusted that site with your delivery information for the first time. You've added things to a checkout box for the first time. But one of the other surprising stats is almost half of the people that ordered online said they would order online more frequently in the future. That is the dynamic shift that's starting to kind of break through. So kind of that last wave of consumers that were still using kind of traditional means are now more apt to use more digital means to kind of move forward as they start to do different things. But the big net effect of this is when we look at the early countries that were affected with COVID, China and Italy and other markets, we saw behaviors change and change for good. In about a 60-day period, new habits were formed and behaviors changed across every market, and they've still changed to this day. So it's creating a long-term effect. A couple of the big things is we saw a 10 times increase in online delivery sales in this period, and we're still seeing in those markets more online delivery and online order and curbside pickup activity than was prevalent in that marketplace before. And it's long since that market getting back to kind of a normalized state. Another key effect that we saw globally is more people signed up for entertainment subscriptions, which means those streaming services that we talked about early on. We see more and more people adding streaming services to their life, which means they're commercial free, which means they don't have local content in them, which means it's even harder and harder for a local business to access the local consumer. And so as we see this across market by market by market, it's starting to create a lasting effect overall. So the big thing is, how can a small business adapt today? How can a small business look at that kind of dynamic shift in the marketplace and do some things that lean in to aligning to the consumer behavior that's existing today. The first big step is making sure that your messaging aligns to what the consumers are looking for. And what that means is, how do you accommodate the user experience that somebody's looking for? Obviously, in the middle of a pandemic, the things that are safe jump to the top of that list. So having things where you can keep physical distancing and still support a business are big. So things like delivery or curbside pickup or online classes, those are all really dynamically interesting things to do because you're aligning to the consumer behavior of an audience. But the other things that a business needs to do to survive is making sure that they're communicating their operating hours to accommodate their community and communicating those, using buy now, use later promotions, researching their customers, or reaching their customers through mobile apps and email marketing, ways that they can engage them when they're on the couch and they're not necessarily walking by their location, adding new products that they've never sold before, potentially through an e-commerce type solution, promoting physical distancing services and how aligned that business is to meet the needs of their consumer base. These are all big shifts that are occurring over and over and over again in small market and in metro market as well. And the big thing from, I think, even our standpoint is, how do you connect with a consumer that's on the couch today and not walking by and walking through the threshold of every single business? A lot of that is by making sure that your message is reaching people that have smartphones, that are on a smartphone. And then the second part of that is making sure that your messaging aligns to something that's very relevant to a local consumer today as well. And so having things like seniors hours and promoting them, promoting when you're open and if you're open at unique times, promoting your delivery services, promoting your curbside pickup services, new products that you're adding to your business to potentially align to the market conditions. These are all ways that you can push your message out in a more modernized way that meets the needs of a consumer that is dynamically changed the way that they access local information. But there is other things that can be done. There's in particular 3 Canadian companies that are offering some very unique things for small businesses in every market across the country to help them adapt their business. I'm highlighting 3 today. One is Shopify, which is offering a free program for businesses that are trying to create an e-commerce platform or a way that somebody could order something online from them and transact online. And it could be something as just setting up a simple purchase a gift card solution. Obviously, Get in the Loop, our company, is offering a way to promote your offers that you have in a marketplace, promote your business information to nearby consumers on their smartphone through our mobile app. And also Hootsuite, which is a Vancouver-based company that can help a business better socially promote themselves as well. And so there's lots of different tools and ways that businesses can adapt at extremely low cost, but augment their business so that they can align to the modern behavior of a consumer today. And through our program with Get in the Loop and through our partnership with the Prince Rupert and Area Chamber of Commerce and Allison and Curtis, we can onboard businesses in the Prince Rupert area right now that will not cost them anything, that will allow them to promote their offers in the Prince Rupert market and allow them to interact with consumers that are accessing content through this device more than ever. So with that, Jay, I'll toss it back over to you and we can open it up to any questions that we may have. And obviously Allison and Curtis and Janet can jump in as well.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. And yes, if you have any questions, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen that you can head over to, and you can either tap in your question or just let me know in your Q&A and we'll unmute you and you can ask the question live, whichever you prefer. I know that having done this a number of times with Chris here over the last month or so, one of the most common questions we get is from businesses who haven't taken that first step to even necessarily having a website, and the question being, where do I start? And so I guess I'll start that off with you, Chris. You're looking to introduce digital components to your marketing. Where does somebody start?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to work with what you have. And so whatever product or service that is the core of your business today, how can you just get that message out to a consumer that is more apt to see it? And so I think that's the first step that you can take, is make sure that you're aligning what you're offering with a way that people will be able to receive it in an appropriate way. So I think the marketing component is the easiest thing that you can do right away. then the second lens that I think you need to look at is what products and services do I have, and do I need to change my product mix or enable a way for somebody to interact with me, potentially purely digital. If you don't have an ability to have a shopping cart on your website today, the ability to have gift cards bought online today, that's something that is an enablement that potentially you require in your business, so that you can allow for people to interact with you from a commerce standpoint, and then the delivery of that product could be a curbside pickup, an in-store pickup, or it could be a delivery. That whole mechanism needs to be thought through in how effectively you can communicate with consumers today. But I think the first step is understanding who your core consumers are, what content are they consuming today, and how are they consuming that content, and how do you get in front of them in a very effective way. I think that's kind of the table stake. That's step one. Then you can become more savvy at the types of products and solutions you're providing to the marketplace. But I would always start there with where your core consumers are.
Another question, just regarding the number of social channels that are available: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest. Where should I invest my time?
Yeah, that's always an interesting one. You can over-index really quickly. And I think there's a big difference between a small business or a small medium business owner and an enterprise organization. An enterprise company has a marketing division that in most cases is larger than the small business's employee base. And so understanding what your breadth of ability is, I would recommend that somebody digs into one or two and does it really well versus trying to participate in all five, because you'll spread yourself so thin, you'll never curate an audience. But my other recommendation is to participate with groups that already have a social audience. And so partnering yourself with companies that already have individuals in your marketplace that are paying attention to their social activity, partnering with those companies so that you can basically access an audience that you don't have today and push your message out in front of them. I mean, that's a very valuable way as well. There's doing it yourself, and there's also partnering with people that are also doing it that are complementary to your business also. So I think there's a couple of ways to look at that, but you want to crawl, walk, and then run. Don't try and run right out of the gate because it can be a daunting task to try and do everything well.
Another question, just what is the difference between Get in the Loop and these social platforms, and what's the value that Get in the Loop brings?
Yeah, so the primary difference is the social networks or social platforms that you listed off a few minutes ago. Those are global platforms that are primarily focused in large metro markets. The big difference that kind of our focus is as a company is to be a local community kind of communication tool. And we do that by having businesses on our platform that are providing offers and events and experiences to the local consumer. And when you download the Get in the Loop app, you're opting in to see that content, versus in a social experience, you're opting in that experience to follow your friends and your colleagues or your peer group, and advertising is getting pushed to you while you're in that experience. And so it's a little bit different than opting into something to see the content versus opting into something and then getting pushed advertising in front of you. Those are dynamically different experiences. And we start to see over time, social platforms start to shift in the demographic group that's using them. You'll see with Facebook, their shift in demographic has moved a lot older. And the younger demographic, I have a 15-year-old daughter that has never used Facebook in her life. Facebook started in, I think, 2004. So Facebook's old now as a social platform. And so the smartphone came in 2007, right? So that's kind of the legacy of those platforms and the interaction of that. My daughter was on Snapchat for a tiny bit, and now everything's on TikTok. And so it depends on who your audience is you're trying to get in front of, where you need to participate. But I think the obvious piece of that is those are still platforms designed for a purpose, and they force advertising in front of you versus opting into a platform where you want to see the content. And that content is the natural advertisement of that content. And so there's just dynamic shifts and changes in those, but it's an important distinction as well.
And looking for questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to add to the mix, the Q&A box at the bottom, you can tap in or even just let us know that you'd like to join us here and we can unmute you. But it looks to me like we've covered everything. Oh, there's Janet.
I do. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Chris and Jason, for just being on the ball. Jason was a wonderful IT person behind the scenes, and Chris was just very engaging with learning so much about digital marketing. So I want to ask specifically about the Get in the Loop app. So it's like, if I decided, like if I was a business and decided to partner with you, how would I communicate to the consumers? Like, is it just through messaging, through saying like these deals? Is it through like, how do I make it timely? How do I make it relevant? Just trying to understand, is it just offers, or can I say these times are the best times, or happy hour? Just understanding what can I post.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Janet. And we have about 4,000 businesses on our platform across Canada. We're in about 75 markets. As Allison mentioned, there's about 310,000 downloads, I think, of our app. We have about 10,000 a month that continue to download our app across the country. And the difference, I think, in our platform, or how a business communicates differently, is it's something called a software as a service. So we basically give them access to our platform. They log in with their business profile and they can promote up to 5 different offers at a time. And an offer in our world doesn't need to be a discount. An offer can be something that's very unique about your business. It could be something like a tap takeover at your restaurant from a microbrewery. It could be a friend's trivia night at the pub, or a Seinfeld trivia night. It's that kind of unique kind of differentiation that you have that will draw the attention of the public, to draw them in. It's very hard in real time to communicate that sort of information in an advertisement. And so our offer format allows you to change your advertisement as frequently as you want. You can update the platform. It'll be live inside the app within 3 to 5 minutes. And so you can change your messaging based on the weather that you're experiencing, based on the timeliness of an event in your community. It could also be based on inventory that you have in your location that you want to highlight and help with push sell-through of your business. And so we have lots of different businesses that have built their Sunday brunch in our platform. They've started off with a buy one get one Sunday brunch, just to kind of get the activity going and kind of curate an audience. And once they kind of got people that are used to thinking about their location for brunch, they can kind of tone down the type of offer that they're providing for brunch and maybe move on to another section of their business. And they can use brunch in a different way using different features that we have. We have a punch card feature, which allows a business to promote an incentive after so much loyalty. So after you've done 3 of something, you'll get a 4th something free or at a discount, or they'll unlock a different offer for you. We also have limited quantity offers, so that you can give an offer to the market, but they're only allowed to use it once, or they're only allowed to use it once a week or once a day, or whatever parameter you set. So it allows you to think about offers like mini marketing campaigns, and how you can put a message out in the market and also control how many people are using that as well. And you can do it in real time. The other benefit is there's live analytics in the platform as well. So you can see not only who your offer is reaching, who's engaging with it, and also who's using your offer. And it also shows the age and demographic profile of who's using each offer as well. So you can, in your offer formats, you could create an offer that's suited for families versus date night, versus moms between the ages of 34 and 44. You can create different offer profiles to target different consumers in your marketplace as well, and measure the feedback of that, and then change your offer in real time based on how well it's performing. And so the unique thing is it gives the business the ability to manage offers in a very dynamic way. And if you think of the opposite of that, if you created an offer or incentive for your business, you would create an ad, maybe it's a direct mail or it goes out in a publication. Once you hit print, it's out there and done. And then you have to wait till that runs, and it could be a week run rate, and then it comes back and you kind of see the performance of it. With our platform, it's a real-time platform. So you see the engagement hourly as people are engaging with it. So maybe a long answer, Janet, but kind of that's how it works.
And I hope you answered Carol's question in doing so as well, who had posted something that I think you've covered off there as well.
Excellent.
Any other questions? Yes, Janet.
Yeah, quick little thing. So sometimes, businesses may not be as tech savvy because in our town, Facebook's a huge thing. So now we're transitioning to this new platform, and it might be an adjustment for some businesses who aren't used to that. So how do you go through understanding these technical things of what an offer it is? How do you put the right picture on there? How all this can be a shift to another platform. So how do you go about that transition?
Completely. And that's part of our business model. So we have local owners and operators in each community. So Allison and Curtis are in Prince Rupert and area. So we have people on the ground that will walk in and talk to business owners and sit down with them and have a coffee and talk about how to create offers in our platform, which ones are the most engaging. We have lots of different collateral on what a good offer looks like and the best practices around offers for every type of business that's out there. But that is the true distinct difference of our business versus a Facebook or a Google. You will never see a Facebook rep or a Google rep walking down the streets in Prince Rupert asking small business owners how they can help them on their platform. That just doesn't happen. These are global companies that do not have a local presence. And so we have an opposite view of the world. We believe we're going to start with a local presence and grow our company at the local grassroots level versus growing it at the enterprise level down. And so that is the distinct difference, is we have people in your community that can sit down with you and manage your offers for you, or walk you through how to manage your offers yourself. And so that's the distinct advantage that we have. And we also have a lot of collateral of different businesses across the country that are promoting offers. We probably have about, I'm going to guess, about 800 or 900 restaurants in our platform that all have different types of offers that are running, that we all kind of curate together, and we pull the best practices about what works, and we share those back to businesses and our local owners as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we're always available to help. We have businesses that put on their own offers, and then we also are more than willing to do it for you. Just people even just send them through social media. They'll send a photo, say, how does this look? And then, like, do you have some ideas about what we could put on? We kind of go back and forth and figure out something that works. And yeah, it's really easy. And then if we put it on and they see something, oh, like I want to edit that, it's super easy. We can do it right away. There's no wait time. It just goes on right away. So it's nice that way for sure.
And the beautiful thing is business actually has an option. They can get the support, as much support as they need. They can do it themselves if they want. And if they are doing it themselves, it's infinitely less complicated than Facebook for sure overall. It's been built with simplicity and time and speed all in mind, which we know is of short availability for busy store owners.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we get most of our calls at what, 10 o'clock at night. That's usually
yeah.
It's not our time,
Mm-hmm.
just before bed. So, but we're always available. We don't mind at all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We have a few questions here we need to get to, so I'll just quickly get into them. Regarding promotional or limited time offer, does the app notify local users with the promotion?
Yeah, so in our app, we've built different offer features. An offer feature is the type of offer that it is. So there could be a limited quantity or limited use offer. As I mentioned, you can create your own parameters, but it could be used, once in your lifetime, or once a day, or once a week. Offers also get promoted two ways. They get promoted through push notifications in the app. So that's when you'll actually get a notification on your phone of a unique offer that might interest you. And then we also have an email that goes out to everyone that's downloaded the app, so that you can see the latest offers that have been created in your market as well, that you've selected as your home market. We also have in-app notifications and other ways that we can communicate offers, but what we normally do is, the better that the offer is, the more that we would promote it to kind of the member base in that community. But we also have some unique things that we're building into our platform in the future as well. It's going to allow for you to tag offers that you like. So if you have a brand, for example, today, a business in town that you really like, it could be a restaurant, it could be a spa, it could be an activity, you can like that business and it will get added to your wallet, we call it, inside the app. And then every time that business is creating offers, you can follow that business. And so we have some unique features inside our product that allow you to kind of pay attention to what's going on in your market, but we also will send out notifications to businesses that you like to notify you when new offers have been created. We also, inside the app itself, have a new and kind of featured category that allows us to, whenever a new offer is created, we kind of push that to the front or the home page or the home screen of the app. That will allow you to see those offers more frequently as well.
And next question is, with businesses that provide delivery, does your app showcase this option under the delivery icon?
Yes, it does. So we have a delivery loop or category inside the app. So if a business is offering delivery or curbside pickup, we can segment it into that area. So if a consumer in a market like Prince Rupert was looking for businesses that will deliver, you can click on the delivery category and it will show those businesses that are offering that. It will also show the very specific offer if they have something like free delivery, for example, or curbside pickup or different elements that can be promoted or segmented inside the app as well. So that is available for sure.
And one more, and a reminder, if you do want to get a question in, there's a Q&A box at the bottom. But the last one that we have on record here so far is, does your app have the ability to scale or link with Shopify or Lightspeed, which is also a POS?
Yeah, so yeah, Lightspeed is they have lots of different solutions. They're a Canadian company as well, a point of sale software. But yes, we do. So whatever your offer is, your call to action button that you will select can either be located to your physical location, so you can only redeem that if you're actually physically in the building, or it could be related to an online interaction. So it could be buy online is the call to action. That will then link to your Shopify or your Lightspeed or another e-commerce provider that you might have. That is the ability for them to buy a gift card from you or purchase the product and add it to their shopping cart and transact. And we also have promotion codes that are available as well. So if your business is using promotional codes to track an offer that you're promoting, that promotional code will render as well when you click that button, and it will stay on your screen, so you can enter that promotional code into the shopping cart promo code as well. So we have that full integration into each offer.
Great. Don't see any other questions. Janet, do you? Or Allison and Curtis, do you have any final thoughts?
I think we were just kind of going to go through the self sign up. Is that, or?
Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, we just have a really easy link that we can put up for anybody that's interested in signing up. Otherwise, you can also reach out to us through social media or through our phone. And it's a very easy process to get you on and get offers up basically immediately. We just create the venue ourselves, or you can just do it through the link. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to add. Yeah.
Chris, did you have any final?
No, I think we're excited to be in Prince Rupert, and we also have members throughout BC. We're in cities like Prince George and Vernon and Penticton and Kelowna and Nanaimo and Victoria. But as I said, we're in 75 markets across Canada, and the easiest way to get involved is, I think, join our free program that we're offering right now kind of during this time. We're trying to help as many small businesses in the country as we can. We'll be at about 6,000 businesses on our platform by the time we get to the end of July, which will be very exciting. But reach out to Curtis and Allison or reach out to Janet, and any of them can connect you to get on board on the platform. And obviously, Allison and Curtis are here to help you kind of navigate the process of setting up your first offers and starting to welcome our Get in the Loop members into your business.
And we want to say thanks to Janet for helping to coordinate everything in the Prince Rupert District Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate all of that, and for everybody for joining us today and attending. I know everybody's got busy schedules right now, and hopefully we brought you some value that you can take home and make use of. So with that, I guess we'll hit the leave button on the webinar and bid you adieu. Have a great day, and we definitely look forward to helping you with your business, Allison and Curtis and the chamber at your leisure. So have a great day, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys.